Hello everyone, back into today's video. Going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. So today's video is takes around the 20th of September. So we're going into the second half of September with the updates. Now, increasingly unsettled sort of flavour to the weather, I think, as we're going into the middle and then the second half of the month. We might even get some rain down into the south and the southeast, although the GFS does want to hold on to that ridge to our south more than some of the other models. But I'll show you everything that's going on in a second. We'll have a look at CFSV2 as well for the next month. But we will start off by having a look at all of the latest terms of hurricanes and tropical storms in the Atlantic Ocean. But for all of that, I've got to say a big thank you to our latest patron. Stuart McSwan has become Gazzovi's latest patron. So we now have 26 patrons for Gazzovids. And a big thank you to all of the patrons for Gazzovids. Really is something very kind, very special that you're doing for the website. And big thank you to Stuart for becoming Gazzovids' latest patron. If you'd like to become a patron for Gazzovids, then all you need to do is come to our Patreon page. This is it, and we link to this at all the pages at Gazzovids and within the description box at YouTube. So you just come here and you sign up for a Patreon account, and then you can pledge any amount of money you would like as an ongoing monthly donation. It could be anything from $1 a month upwards. And by doing that, you become a patron for Gazzovids. So a big thank you to all of Gazzovids' latest patrons. If you would prefer to just give a one-off donation, you can do that as well via PayPal. So I'll just take you through to the Gazzovids PayPal page, and this is it. So again, we link to this at all the pages at Gazzovids and within the description box at YouTube. So you can just come here and you've got a PayPal account. Very simply sign into that, and then you can give just a one-off donation to Gazzovids via your PayPal account. We've had lots of donors for Gazzovids via PayPal, so a big thank you to all of the donors for Gazzovids, and a big thank you to all of the patrons as well. It's helping us to pay for the website, helping us to keep all of the content completely free as you want it and as you need it. So with primarily ads funding, but it's just an extra sort of revenue stream. We won't be going behind paywalls or doing anything like that, but you will get a shout out in the videos if you want one. If you'd rather stay anonymous, a few people have chosen to do that. That's absolutely fine as well. So you just leave a note to let us know that you'd rather not have a mention in the videos. We'll just say thank you to this anonymous donor or patron, and that person will know who they are, of course. But otherwise, you'll get a shout out, get a mention in the videos, and we'll say thank you very much for becoming Gazzovids' latest donor, latest patron. Of course, you might not want a mention for yourself. You might want a mention for your website or for your business. We can do that as well. We've given a shout out to a couple of websites. So again, it's just what you want. Let us know with your donation what sort of mention you would like to receive. But we're always happy to give a shout out to a business or a website as well as an individual if that's what you would like. So a big thank you to all of the donors and all of the patrons for Gazzovids. Big thank you to Stuart McSwan for becoming Gazzovids' latest patron. And yeah, it's something really kind, really special about you doing for the website. So big thank you to everybody for doing that. Right, let's get on with today's video then. It's all happening in the tropics. So we're going to begin by having a look at the Caribbean, because a yellow X has appeared in the Caribbean just there. So let's see what the National Hurricane Center, which is part of NOAA, is saying about this. So at the moment, this has disturbance 1. It has a 10% chance of cyclone formation within the next 48 hours. So only a very low chance of becoming a tropical storm. What they're saying is disorganized showers and thunderstorms over the northwestern Caribbean Sea and western Cuba are associated with a weak surface trough. The disturbance is forecast to move slowly northwestwards across the northwestern Caribbean Sea and the Yucatan Peninsula. over the next couple of days, with only slow development expected during that time. However, upper level winds are forecast to become more conducive, and a tropical depression could form late this week when the system moves across the western Gulf of Mexico. So at the moment, we've got a just 10% chance this is going to form a tropical storm, but in the 5 day, that's for the next 2 days, in the 5 day period, we've actually got a 40% chance, a medium level risk that this is going to form into a tropical storm. So we could get something going in the Gulf of Mexico quite shortly. And then, of course, we've got our 3 hurricanes. So we've got Helene over here, we've got Isaac just there, and then, of course, we've got Florence, which we'll be hearing a lot about later this week, just there. Let's deal with them one by one. So Helene, at the moment, is a Category 1 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 85 miles an hour. Let's show you what's going to happen with Helene. So Helene might go up to a Category 2 hurricane sometime in the next 48 hours. But it's going to stay out to sea, not really impacting any sort of land areas. That's the current position of Helene just there. Going to move sort of west-northwestwards as a Category 1 or 2 hurricane in the next couple of days, and then curve northwards in that sort of position. So by Saturday, it's down to a tropical storm again, and it's in that area just there. So it doesn't look as though Helene will be too impactful. It's generally in the middle of the ocean, not really going into any populated areas at this point. Then we've got Isaac, and Isaac also is a Category 1 hurricane. So let's just see what they're saying about Isaac. Yes, it's a Category 1 hurricane. So again, we've got sustained winds of 75 miles an hour. Isaac is expected to remain as a Category 1 hurricane through to the end of the week, but heading into the Caribbean. So this is the current position of Isaac right now. It's going to move in a generally due west fashion, getting into the far sort of eastern islands of the Caribbean sometime around Friday, and then moving to the south of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic as we get through into the weekend. So by that point, it's down to a tropical storm. So this one never goes above Category 1, and by the weekend, it's down to a tropical storm. Still impactful, though, for those islands, but it's going to be moving through at the end of the week. And then finally, perhaps most impactfully, we've got Florence. This is the current position of Hurricane Florence just there. Florence is now up to Category 2 hurricane status, and that means it got sustained winds of 105 miles an hour. We're expecting Florence in the next couple of days to go up to a Category 4 hurricane, and then this major hurricane is going to be bearing down on the east coast of the United States at the end of the week. So the current position of Florence is just there. Within the next few hours, it will be up to major hurricane status, which is Category 3 or above. I've had a look at the forecast wind with this, and it is forecast to go to Category 4. Now, it may get to Category 5. At the moment, the forecast winds are not going up to Category 5. But a Category 4 hurricane is going to be very, very devastating indeed. And of course, it might go up to Category 5. By the time you get through to the sort of the last stages of the week, Thursday, we see that Florence is around there off the east coast of America. And then by Friday, yes, we've got Florence being forecast by the National Hurricane Center to be hitting the Carolinas, South Carolina and North Carolina. It looks like it's going to be where Florence is going to make landfall as a major, either Category 3, Category 4, possibly even Category 5 hurricane, hitting that southeastern coast of the United States. By the weekend, Florence is beginning to move inland up towards sort of the north of North Carolina and up towards Virginia and West Virginia, and going down to a tropical storm at that point. So going to be pretty bad time, I think, of it in the far southeast of America. Florida and Georgia looks like going to stay out of trouble with this, but obviously they might get some storms in Georgia, but it looks like the main centre of Florence will be a little bit further north. But yeah, going to be pretty nasty, I think, in the southeast of America. We do have people watching from America. I'm aware of that through the stats that we have via YouTube. So I know that some people could be watching this on that southeast coast, and really the advice is just to keep up with the latest forecast from the National Hurricane Center and NOAA, and of course take any precautions that they recommend over the next few days. So Florence, we'll be hearing a lot about Florence, I think, later on this week. Right, coming back closer to home, and these are the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts from Penn State University for the next week to 10 days. We've got the ECMWF here on the top, and the GFS, which have a look in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 8,000 feet, is an area in the absolute high pressure and low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream. And red extrapolates to high pressure, blue to low pressure. The ECMWF looks very unsettled and very autumnal in the 7 to 10 day time frame, with this deep area of below average heights over to the west of the country and quite a strong jet stream coming in off the Atlantic. That's proper autumnal weather there being shown by the ECMWF for the second half of September. Now, the GFS is very similar, but there is a subtle difference. Actually, the trough, the below average heights, is a little bit deeper with the GFS, but it's more to our north, which means that to the south, as I said at the start of the video, we've still got this ridge clinging on by its fingertips to the very far south of the country. Still quite a strong jet stream coming across the Atlantic like that. So it is unsettled. There's quite a bit of wet weather to the north and west, but for the south and the southeast, we're just about somehow or other managing to hang on to mainly dry conditions into the second half of the month. There probably will still be some showery rain coming down even into the south, but it certainly isn't as unsettled as what we're just seeing with the ECMWF. These are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles. Have a look at Wilmslow in Cheshire today. Someone's asked me to have a look at Wilmslow. So the red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Wilmslow. Starting off pretty warm, actually. The next couple of days, today and tomorrow, going to be pretty warm with those upper air temperatures. But after that, the temperatures are dropping away through the rest of the week and into the weekend. It looks generally quite cool. Then over the weekend and into next week, which is kind of like this period just here, we see a lot of scatter within the ensemble, and what that's showing is that we've got these alternating air masses coming through. So I think I did a video about this on Friday or Saturday. This time of year, we do tend to get a lot of changing air masses, rapidly alternating and seesawing between warmer sectors and cooler sectors. It's all very typical of what you tend to see in September. So some of the ensemble members are going at quite warm levels, but some of the ensemble members are going down to quite cool levels as well. And many of these ensemble members are both going up to warm and cool levels at kind of like the same time, or the same ensemble member is going warm and then cool and then warm and then cool in that sort of fashion as the air masses change with those areas of low pressure. As I said, it's very typical of sort of early autumn type conditions. As far as rainfall is concerned, again, it looks like things are going more unsettled. Remember, this is from the northwest of England. It's Wilmslow in the northwest, so perhaps not all that representative of what it would be like if we was looking at somewhere like London down in the far southeast, but nevertheless it does show that gradually things are turning more and more unsettled the further into September we're going, with those precipitation spikes becoming increasingly frequent into the second half of the month. We've been talking about this a lot in the videos lately. The further into September we get, the more chance we've got that the weather is going to start getting itself into a genuinely unsettled and autumnal type setup. Temperature anomalies from the 10th through to the 18th of September are coming out a little bit cooler than average for the north and west, a little bit warmer than average for the south and the southeast still. Not a big deviation anywhere, very close to average with those temperature anomalies. Precipitation anomalies look like that. So the north and west, again, looks rather unsettled. Western Scotland, northwest England, Northern Ireland, above average precipitation coming through there. But in the south and the southeast, we're still hanging on to those drier than average conditions. Remember, this is all based on on the GFS though. So if this anomaly chart was to be based on the ECM, you would see pretty much the whole of the country looking a good deal more unsettled than that would suggest. Just giving you the idea, but there is quite a bit of uncertainty about this second half of September period and just how unsettled will it get. So that's how the GFS is looking for Thursday, and we know from the 500 millibar height anomalies that we're going to keep this ridge clinging on to the south. This is the same ridge of high pressure that gave us the hot summer, but over time it's been pushed further and further and further south. Eventually I think this is going to break and we will open the door properly to the Atlantic, but at the moment it's still just about managing to hold on to the south of the country. So on Thursday, that ridge is through many central and southern parts of the country. Looks rather unsettled, though, up to the north. That's how things look from Friday through to the weekend. Still the north-south split. So below average pressure to the south, or low pressure to the south, let's say, high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north then, and we're bringing the westerlies in like that. Through to the weekend, still just about holding on to this ridge in the south-southeast. These low pressures are deepening out to the north and the northwest, so there'll be further periods of rain coming in for Scotland, Northern Ireland, but for central southern parts of England and Wales, it looks as though it will probably be mainly dry. A little bit more unsettled there through the early part of next week as this weather system moves in across the country, but still this ridge is managing to find a way to hold on to the south. We get up to day 10, that's how we look at day 10, and it looks a little bit stormy actually. So this is Thursday 20th of September, and we're probably getting our first autumnal gales across Scotland here with tightly packed isobars, although even then the ridge at 1020 millibars is just about managing somehow or other to hold on to that south coast area. By the way, this is a midnight run of a GFS. I've not been able to show you the 6 o'clock run because it hasn't updated fully at West Central for some reason this morning. Into a more extended range with the midnight run of the GFS. And that's how we look. Eventually, it looks like it's turning more and more unsettled. And that's how we finish up on the 26th of September, looking really rather cool and rather unsettled then. ECMWF looking like this. Now we know this is going to be a more unsettled run from the 500 millibar height anomalies. This is Thursday though. We've still got this ridge across the south on Thursday. It will be cooler in the second half of this week though compared to right now. It is going to cool down for the second half of this week, and watch out for some cold nights actually on Wednesday night, and again probably on Thursday night too. So we're going through to the weekend, and the ridge is still just about managing to hold on to the south, but we've got the low pressure up to the north, so showers along with spells of rain over the weekend in the north, probably mainly dry down in the south. But then through to next week, it starts to turn increasingly unsettled. The high pressure is being pushed further away from us. We've got this deep area of low pressure to the northwest of Scotland. We've also got this low pressure down here to the southwest of the country. Watch what happens as we go through to Wednesday, 19th of September. That looks very unsettled. That's bringing gale force winds and heavy rain across many parts of the country. Wettest weather with that will probably be across England and Wales as well. And at day 10, another area of low pressure is moving in from off the Atlantic. So the ECM looks really unsettled. We do get rid of that ridge, but is on the GFS, and it's just about clinging on by its fingertips to the south of England. On the ECM, we get rid of it in the 8 to 10 day time frame and turn things very autumnally unsettled indeed. What is the GM showing? So again, there's the ridge across the south on Thursday. That continues into Friday and probably into Saturday as well. By Sunday, it looks like it's turning more unsettled. There's probably a band of rain pushed across many parts of the country on Sunday. And then into next week, similar to what the ECM is showing, increasingly unsettled. So that ridge to the south is gradually being pushed further and further south. This is how we finish up by day 10, Thursday 20th of September. It's wet and windy, tightly packed isobars bringing gale force winds to Scotland, possibly to Northern Ireland too. There'd be heavy rain even down in the south, southeast. You would expect quite a bit of wet weather to be coming through with that. So all the models are looking rather unsettled. They're just differing on how unsettled it's going to get. The GFS is still just about managing to cling on to that ridge to the south. It's just about holding on for dear life. But the other two models, the GEM and the ECM, within the 8 to 10 day time frame anyway, they are finally getting rid of that ridge properly, and we do go into genuinely, what will be genuinely very autumnal, wet and windy conditions with those two models. So we shall wait and see. Finally, just having a look at the CFS V2 for the next month. So these are 500 heights broken down into week periods. The first week period takes us from the 10th through to 16th of September. The coming week has the above average heights to the south with the below average heights to the north. Very representative of what we've just been looking at. The jet stream is coming through like that. So the most unsettled conditions will be in the north, but driest conditions in the south. We probably all get some rain at some point though in the next week. Now, this is week 2, and it's very much at odds with what we've just been looking at, so pinch of salt needed on this. This is from the 17th to the 23rd of September, and the CFS wants to rebuild this ridge up to our east and push the low pressure out to the north and the west of the country. That leads us doing something like that, the flow with the jet. There will be a lot of dry and warm weather. If that came off from the 17th to the 23rd of September, there's not much sign of that within the shorter range model output, I have to say. Week 3 looks like this. It's the 24th to the 30th of September with above average heights to our south, below average heights are out to the northwest. The flow and the jet goes through like that. So probably a little bit more unsettled in week 3, particularly for the north. But the south still managing to hold on to the ridge. And then we go through to week 4, which is the 10th through to the 7th of October. Again, below average heights around Greenland, Iceland. Above average heights over and to the southeast of the country, but jet streams coming through like that. So for the south, again, a lot of dry weather continues through the first week of October. The north looks a little bit more unsettled. Have to say, I'm very, very sceptical about the CFS and its output at the moment. I think the CFS is far too strong with this ridge of high pressure compared to what we're seeing within the shorter range model output. It's one of those situations, I think, where the CFS is just stuck. It can't get itself out of these continuous areas of high pressure. And as we've just seen, the shorter range output, even the GFS, shows that this ridge is just holding on for dear life in kind of like the day 8 to 10 time frame. And the other two shorter range models, they actually get rid of the ridge altogether and open the door to really very unsettled conditions indeed. So I think the CFS is overplaying this ridge. But we shall wait and see. It is an uncertain time here, as I say, all the time when we've got these storms and hurricanes in the Atlantic. They are adding an extra level of uncertainty into the model output. So even when it appears that you have decent agreement within the model output, such as we've seen today, with the idea that it's turning more unsettled, the only question is how unsettled is it going to get? Even when it looks like you've got decent agreement within the model output, because these storms and hurricanes are very, very difficult for the models to model, that adds an extra level of uncertainty always at this time of the year. So you've got to wait and see. But at the moment, it does look as though increasingly unsettled into the second half of September is the way this is going to go. Right, so that's brought you up to date with everything. And tomorrow we're going to have a look at the ECMWF 30-day ensemble model. We'll also bring you your regular week to 10-day weather update. So keep checking back for all of the updates. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching.